I feel both sociopathic rage and narcissistic rage, and I feel like while there is a distinction, there are many overlaps.
Testing.
Sam has a big butthole.
Wow. Bet you love that.
Hey guys, it's Kanika. Welcome back to my channel. Today I'll be talking to you about sociopathic and narcissistic rage. Please make sure you like and subscribe. It's been mentioned in my comments quite a few times, and I thought I would finally address how sociopaths and narcissists deal with rage. I am someone who has experienced a lot of rage in my time. I find that narcissists and sociopaths handle and experience it differently. I'm going to start with narcissists because that's where I get the most inquiry. People think I talk way too much about being a sociopath rather than being a narcissist. Narcissists have a number of ways that they handle rage. They all come from a place of self-preservation. Self-preservation is the superego trying to protect the fragile nature of the human with this false sense of self. This is very, very, very exaggerated in the narcissist because narcissists do not have a natural sense of self. They are validated and created by the outside world. They kind of adapt to whatever they're thrown into. Narcissists always want to protect themselves. They think that the world is generally out to get them. So there's a number of ways that they handle this rage, and this is different between covert and overt or classic narcissists. So covert narcissists tend to be shy and passive aggressive. While they want to ruin your life, they're too afraid to confront you. They won't come up to you and start an argument. They won't be going to your friends and saying so-and-so is a piece of shit because, you know, there's retribution for that. And they are very, very fragile. That's probably how they adapted to abuse or other situations they were put in. With this, they tend to be more insidious in the way that they attack you. This will be things like putting seeds of doubt in people's minds. They'll make little snipey comments. They'll mention things like, have you noticed that X has gained a little bit of weight? Have you noticed that X has been seeing this other guy even though she has a boyfriend? Have you seen that X is, you know, it would be really small things that kind of add up into this giant picture. And they want to paint this picture, but they don't want you to know it's them. The scariest thing is confrontation. They get very, very cagey. So because of this nature, they can't do the whole "you're a piece of shit" to your face. There's consequences for their actions, and they know this. So they never really cross that boundary unless you do something that will destroy them. That's when you should probably run. Because they can try and destroy your life in so many ways. It's just a coping mechanism because if they don't look out for themselves, no one else will. With classic narcissists, this is completely different. I feel both sociopathic rage and narcissistic rage, and I feel like while there is a distinction, there are many overlaps. Classic narcissists have no problem with confrontation. We don't give a shit. If you come and piss us off, we will come after you, and we're not really afraid of you yelling at us. I tend to get into rages a lot. I may not handle it the best way, but we have a very, very straightforward way of getting to you, and that's through the smear campaign that has been mentioned. While the covert narcissist has problems actually verbalizing what they're feeling against you, we do not. We will go to your friends and your family and tell them that you're a piece of shit. We'll lie if we have to. Most often we will. We will do everything we can to destroy your reputation, mainly because we feel like you've destroyed ours. And we've spent so long building this up. It is the most important thing to us in the world, and you've just shattered us completely. Without our false selves, we have nothing. We have no methods of self-regulation of emotions. We have no happiness, and we have no faith in ourselves. So you've snatched the basic sense of life from us. So we don't have a problem destroying you. If you attack our base nature, we don't really see another exit. You've backed us into a corner, and this is how we react. It's scary to us to not have that to fall back on. It's terrifying. So it's only natural for us to have this kind of bubbling rage that we can't control. I just just wanted to talk about this a little bit more because I know people are going to think that we are purposely vindictive and malicious. It's not that we are. We only really receive very negative criticisms of ourselves, and we very rarely get the validation that we need to the degree that we need it. I mean, we always get people telling us we're pretty or smart and things like that, but we need this deep validation that we'll never really get. And now finally, the sociopath. Let's start with the worst end of the scale. This would be Ted Bundy. He was in a relationship with a woman named Diane when he was in his first couple of years of university in Washington. Diane outgrew Ted. She thought that he was too mature and that she couldn't imagine a future with him because he also did not have any familial wealth. So she didn't think he could take care of her the same way a man from her class could. When she broke up with Ted, Ted was absolutely devastated. Now, Ted was a diagnosed psychopath or sociopath at the time. We won't make the distinction here. Ted was absolutely furious and devastated. He mooned over her for months and months, but he had a very solid plan for revenge, and this entailed some pretty intense moves on his part. He put his head down, he started studying, he achieved the best results he could. He joined the Republican Party, he was a part of a lot of campaigns for Republican senators, including Art Fletcher, and he built himself up into the man that Diane Edwards could appreciate. He did this for a full year to 2 years. Then he built himself up into this character that he'd always wanted to be, and he went and wooed Diane. He wooed her until she just fell into his arms. And this is where I got fun for Ted, because now he had full control over her again. She took him back, and she even started talking about getting married, which was initially Ted's dream. He proposed to Diane. Diane said yes. She flew back to San Francisco, and Ted proceeded to never talk to her again. He received a phone call from her 2 years in. She was like, "Ted, what's going on? We're engaged. I haven't heard anything from you. You don't reply to my letters." And he just said, "Look, I have no idea what you're talking about," and hung up on her. So Ted waited 2 years for his revenge. He plotted and calculated it very methodically. And this is what a sociopath is capable of. There is a lot of impotent rage which fizzles out. Most of our rage is gone after maybe like a day or two. But when it lasts, we can do some pretty heinous things because, again, no one's taught us how to regulate our anger or our emotions. So we tend to lash out quite violently, and this can include physical violence. I don't tend to use physical violence at all. There's many ways that we process anger, and it's not like that of a neurotypical. We have a constant sense of boredom, and we don't really have anything pinning us down to society. We don't really abide by the social norms because the social norms have never accepted us. They've never validated us. On the one hand, you've got sociopaths or psychopaths who could hold on to grudges for 2 years and plot their revenge like Ted did, or you could have the sociopath who forgets about it in a day. Me personally, I tend to get very angry over sometimes small things. When it's a larger issue, I go into full-blown rage. And at this time, I do talk about violence. I never act on violence, but I feel like talking about it is cathartic. So I openly talk about some really probably jarring stuff for general neurotypicals. I'm just going to emphasize this. I don't actually act out on that violence. I know how to control myself, and so do most sociopaths after learning it. It's not from a sense of guilt or empathy. It's just we know that bad things will happen if we do bad things. Now, one of my friends who is a psychopath, she tends to get quite anxious and frustrated when she is in the middle of a rage. She is the complete opposite of me, and that's why I run a lot of things past her rather than acting on my impulses. She is always very cool, calm, and collected, no matter how much rage she is experiencing. So she doesn't really do stupid things. I do stupid things. She is only really affected by rage when it involves her anxiety. When her anxiety flares, she goes into a sort of meltdown or catatonia, if you will. And that's more inward bound. Like, she is not a physically violent person, nor is she confrontational to that degree that I am. She is more reserved, and she won't make snap judgments. So she's on another end of the scale. It's not just people who are really violent or quick to anger. There's also people who are very methodical and will not really act on the violent impulses that we experience. It's kind of a mixed bag, just depends on who you're talking to, really. And like I said, I read in the comments that some of you don't relate to a couple of the things that I talk about, and that's totally cool. We're all different. We have the same disorder, but we're also different humans. So I understand you're not feeling exactly how I do, but this is my experience and the experiences of my friends. I hope you liked the video, and if you're in Australia or New Zealand, I would really appreciate it if you could go out and pre-order a copy of Honey Trap. It's about a female serial killer who develops a relationship with Ted Bundy, and it's available for sale on booktopia.com.au. Thanks for watching.